So here's a wonderful book I used to read as a postdoctoral research fellow at Riken Institute and then at University of Cambridge. And I used to read these books on neuroscience. And this is a wonderful book and all these details so the brain is an incredibly complex machinery, and you really need the sophisticated mathematical tools and nowadays computer simulations to understand it. But then it's just an abbreviation of what's actually happening in the brain. Interestingly, the brain is too complex to understand for our brain. So the brain cannot understand itself, because it's so complex. This is just a model. It has its internal structures, but the actual structure of the brain is much more complex than this. So anything you might say about the brain is just a story. But it's really important to tell that story. But because imagine, at this moment, in your brain, all these molecular processes are going on. Like the synapses and, neurotransmitters released into this cavity, and it's reabsorbed and uptaken, and all these secondary messengers within the cell. This sheer complexity of networks is actually what makes you, right? But you are a story too. This is a story. This is a detail on the physical level, right? But in order to understand your brain, a reductionist would say that we have to really go to the level of these molecules, right? But that's a mission impossible. Mission totally, absolutely impossible. Because, these figures are really nice. This is a fruit of years of research by many, scholars. But this is just an abbreviation too. These membranes are, vibrating through Brownian motion and, thermal fluctuations. And so these molecules do not stay there. And these are always constantly created and then, destroyed and always recycled. And this is a neuron, and it's totally, possible that the complexity of a single neuron would probably surpass the computational power of today's most advanced artificial intelligence. So it's not simply possible to understand the brain as they are at the molecular level. So what we can do is tell a story about the brain. That's what most of us are doing, and that's what I am doing. And, so what kind of story are we going to tell about the brain? That's the whole question. That's the only question that we can ask about the brain. Because the brain is simply too complex for us, owners of the brain, to understand. That's probably the most wonderful story about the brain.